Alright, so I figured I'd compliment my Royal Rumble review with a nice little Raw review here, and man, was that a waste of time. They had a good Rumble. See, this is what I said in my Rumble review. They have a good show, and they just can't keep the momentum going. Now, this show had one good thing, counted one good thing, and that was it. That was it. You had your good ending to the show, a hot angle there, but that was about it. Now that would be fine, I guess. If this was an hour show, you'd be pushing it if it was a 2-hour show, but on a 3-hour show, I need a little bit more than, a 10-minute segment to call it a good show or even a decent show. We're talking about 3 hours. You just had a hot Rumble. One of the best Rumbles you've had in years. Memorable. And, then they come out with a Raw. And a Raw like this reminds me of why I can't continue the course and watch Raw regularly like I used to. Because you get nothing for your time invested. Think about it. Even when watching a hour-long show, just pick any TV show. Even when you watch something on Netflix and it's horrible, don't you feel like your time is wasted? You could have chosen a better show. You could have done something else with your time. That's what I'm saying. So that's why it robs you of your time. But see, with WWE, it's like, you know better. You're going to say, Brad, you should know better than to watch the show. Because I'm the one who preaches this, and I would preach it every single week when doing regular weekly Raw reviews. No matter how good a show is or how promising an angle is, like with The Fiend or Bray Wyatt, they've had so many great characters, Elias, so many hot angles, that had so much potential, and they squander it every single time. Now, okay, so in the case with Edge, we're going to get to that, but let's do this in chronological order like we always do. Let's start from the top and work our way to the end of the show. So we've got Drew McIntyre kicking things off, and Drew is likable. The guy's got the look. I'm very happy that he won. But this is not exactly the promo I was looking for. It's okay if you want to make Drew a babyface going into this. But the thing is, it's a dream come true, guys. I look at Drew, and okay, they called this guy like a killer, right? Right? He's supposed to be a badass, right? Well, my dream come true. I'm sorry. No, please. He calls himself the Dream Maker when Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson come out to accept his challenge, for a fight. He dominates them in a handicap match. This wasn't really necessary to have a handicap match like this. But, Gallows and Anderson are they're nothing at this point. So, why not feed them to Drew? But, then you have Brock running in, gives the F5 to Drew, and then that's it. That's the end of Drew and Brock for the night. There's no Drew, angrily walking through the parking lot or in the backstage area. Where the hell is Brock? Where is he? At least it would have broken him out of that. I'm the Dream Maker, guys. That was so cringy. I mean, really, I'm like, really, Drew? Okay, that's not his fault. That Dream Maker stuff, that's Triple H talk. That's hugging the guys in the back. That's more of hugging Kevin Owens when he wins the world title type of garbage. Like I said, wrestling needs more of Hardcore Holly beating the crap out of people on Tough Enough. Whatever happened to that style? Never showing. When a wrestler would show, a sign of weakness, it would be rare. This is the thing. When Shawn Michaels won the Iron Man match, And, he got down on his knees and he cried with his face in the belt. Like, okay, that was a time when you could get emotional because that was a WrestleMania moment. Michaels worked hard for that. It was after a big, exhausting match. So, understandable. But now everyone wants to be a Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 and get all emotional at every single moment. Now, Drew wasn't crying, but the verbiage here was just abysmal. I mean, to call yourself the Dream Maker, your dreams are coming through. I mean, they called this guy, what was he called again? The Scottish, madman, or it wasn't that, but, it was something to that effect. Oh, the Scottish psychopath. That's what they called him, right? Did he really seem like a psychopath here? I understand that's not the character that they want to do anymore, but that's besides the point. I mean, this guy is going in there against Brock Lesnar, having him talk about being the Dream Maker. Okay, I could go on all day about that, but my main complaint here is, how are you going to stop after the opening segment with the guy who just won the Rumble? How about some heated, stuff here? Like, you don't have to do a pull apart. Like I said, just show Drew hunting him down. But it's like we've still got what's left on the show, like 2 hours and 20 minutes. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, you still got all that time left on the show, and you're just, we got that out of the way. It's done, And it's like these wrestlers just kind of like get put on hold. It's like, it's like turning a video game off. Like, we're not going to see these characters until the next time we turn on the game. Like, no, this is supposed to be a living, breathing world, that should be always going. So I don't get it. We've got Rey Mysterio defeating MVP. I don't really see the point of this MVP return unless it's not a constant thing. They talked about how MVP's son is a big fan of Rey Mysterio, so maybe, it was just a one-off at the Rumble, but maybe, so let me do one more match with Rey. Seemed like a good match. MVP was, moving around very well. I was never a huge, massive MVP fan, but looking back on things the way how things are now, MVP seems so much better to me. That, looking back at a, character starved roster. So, you look at a guy like MVP and you appreciate MVP. That's the weird thing. That's how bad the product is. You go back and you look at guys that you just kind of deemed as average, and you kind of appreciate them even more for what they brought to the table, because you see how bland everyone is now. So thank you, bland roster and horrible creative, for making me see that. It's kind of a backhanded compliment if you didn't notice. But I don't get it. They talk about MVP and what a proud moment it was to see him compete. He competed for 2 seconds, kicked Brock in the stomach, and that was about it. He got tossed out. He competed at the Rumble. Like, what? Like, what weird terminology there to use. But I would like to see MVP hang around if that's what he wants to do. But I don't know if he was just trying to fulfill like a dream match for his son, seeing his father wrestle Rey Mysterio. So if that's what he set out to do, then I'm happy he got to accomplish that. But other than that, like, if MVP is back full time or even part time, what a return! Get eliminated right away, get beat in your first match back on Raw in like about a decade. So, what are you really supposed to say about something like that? Alistair Black beats a jobber, cuts a promo, and it's so funny. Like, how long has it been since I haven't regularly done Raw reviews? Like, the fact that this is what Alistair Black was doing, kind of like halfway through last year, and he's still doing this, and all of a sudden he has an epiphany, so he beats the jobber, and then he goes, I've been doing it all wrong. I shouldn't wait for people to knock on my door. I should go and bring the fight to them. Okay, I don't think that's the problem. You know what I think the problem is? The fact that creative has nothing for this guy. I don't get it. He looks like a tough guy. He does. He gives off, a great appearance, a good aura of this guy. So I don't see what the problem is here. There's no character development. The verbiage here was even bland. It's kind of like, oh, I'm not going to wait for people to bring the fight to me. I'm going to bring it to them. It's just like, it's so obvious that this is so scripted to the letter that it's the most basic scripting that you could do. I mean, you couldn't have said this any more simple or in any stricter layman's terms. And I'm not saying that we have to have great wordplay, make these people talk like human beings, but that's exactly the point. And then it's like, okay, and now we're really supposed to believe that after all the months of them wasting Alistair Black and doing nothing with them, things are going to change. Last year, what was it? He waits several months for someone to knock on his door. They can't think of anyone to fight him, so he just says, "Oh, everyone's a coward," and then it ends up being Cesaro. Like, you can't make this stuff up. These guys got nothing. They got nothing. They don't even know how to write for the guy who just won the Rumble. All they can think is, "I'm the Dream Maker." Brock attacks him. That's it for the show. You have, you have one of the biggest wins. Finally, everyone could agree. Casuals and Smarks finally agree on the winner. You don't give us Knocker Murphy and everything like that. I didn't mention it, but there was the "you deserve it" chants, which were really annoying, and I rather that didn't happen. But, he did deserve it, and I'm still not giving it a pass. I still hate that chant, but regardless of the point. But anyway, you get the point. You pleased everybody for a change. Now, there were a few people that were complaining about, like, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? But most people were pretty happy about it, and they ruined it. There wasn't enough of Drew on the show. The guy that the focus is on, and the champion. Then we get this ridiculous thing where this was just, I don't know if they were going for Abbott and Costello. I don't know if they were going for Three Stooges. I don't know if they were like, even, like, I don't know if they were drunk when they did this, or they were high, or under what influence they were doing, or, if they had their 3-year-old brothers write this segment. But we're talking about this, which was probably one of the worst written things I've ever seen. So we've got Seth freaking Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, and Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy. Probably the weirdest tag team I've ever seen. And if you haven't, I ranted on this slightly, but, we have to pretty much say it. How are you going to have Seth Rollins, beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes and everything? Seth Rollins is like, the strongest guy on the roster. He like practically squashed Lesnar at Mania, right? In an opening match, no less. This guy is, wow. I mean, man, he is the Messiah. Look at this guy. But, Seth Rollins didn't really have a lot to back it up. It was just booked that way. And after a championship run that a lot of smarks thought that they wanted, they didn't want it. And they turned on Rollins for really no reason at all that I could really see, other than, it wasn't, that's what I don't get it. It's not the reasons that I say that he's a dangerous worker, that he's overrated, that he doesn't sell. I don't know what people, didn't want him as champion for what reason, because it wasn't any of those reasons. So I don't know. So if you're like pro Seth Rollins, if you were at that stage in the game, pre WrestleMania 35, why did you not like Rollins as champion? Let me know down in the comments, because I don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of that one. It was confusing to me, kind of. It's more just, I get it as having short attention spans, but if you have a real reason, let me know down there. Anyway, so let's talk more about this. So he's saying, he calls out Joe. he called it. No, but before I get to that, let me just say this. After all that stuff, he's a tag champ again. So we went through all that, winning the Rumble. Seth Rollins is going to burn it down. He's going to slay the Beast. He's the Beast Slayer, and he's the tag champ with Buddy Murphy. Give me a break, Buddy Murphy. Really? Like, okay. Anyway, so they call out Owens and Samoa Joe, and Owens and Samoa Joe are like, oh, we're going to come out there, and you're just going to have the Authors of Pain beat us up. Where have you got them hiding? And, they try to do, like, kind of make it seem like this was unscripted, but you could tell that it really was still scripted, and it just felt like a mess, and they were just acting like goofballs out there. Then he plays a message on the Tron, and then they're like, oh, that's pre-recorded, and, he's like, oh, so they're in the locker room, can you, is that true? And then, like, Rollins said, yeah. And he's like, oh, thanks for telling us where they are. Then the Viking Raiders run backstage and they beat them. This whole thing and the layering, and they were like, oh, so they're back there. And, like, go watch it. I mean, I really don't want you to waste your time, but really go watch it and just see how bad that whole thing played out. And just, like, that was so cringe. They like, wasted so much time, and it's not funny. It's not entertaining. Okay, they're trying to tell a story here so they could get the AOP out of the way. That was the story that they tried to tell in the match. So, I mean, okay, credit to them for trying to have a story. But, sorry, still not good enough, guys. Still not what I would call a story. Still not what I would call great storytelling. But there definitely was a story to tell. And the moral of the story was never do a horrible segment like this again. I mean, you guys, you got JD and the rest talking about how bad the Lana and Rusev wedding was. And it was goofy, but at least it was entertaining to a certain degree. This was just awkward and bad. Any awkward nature that came from the Rusev Lashley stuff, like that was intentional. That was totally intentional. That was supposed to be goofy and over the top and everything like that. And even though it was not the kind of thing that I go for, I thought it was a little bit too over the top. They used to be able to do things in a way that didn't seem really corny or goofballish. But, this right here is an example of why these guys, none of these four guys are the future. These are guys that deserve to be left in the dustbin of time. But sadly, guys like Rollins have already done too much, and now they've really, like, become, like, historic parts of wrestling, because of all the things that Rollins has done in main events and world title reigns. And it's just such a sham, because now you look at stuff like this and you look at his body of work and it's just so bad. And, like, guys, Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, I mean, what is this? Is this like a tag team of obesity? What's the theme here? Two ROH guys, like, what are we going for? Two fatzos. Two of the guys that refuse to get in shape, will not get in shape. These guys have had so much time off due to their injuries. They don't go to the gym. They don't do any cardio. They don't diet. I mean, Samoa Joe's over there, taking a few months off. Yeah, I'll just wait to get back to the ring. Hey, pass the Cheetos there, Kevin. Oh, yeah, there you go. Like, what's going on here? You've got a 46-year-old Edge that looks phenomenal. And you've got these two goofballs looking like complete garbage, and they're so much younger. Like, come on. I mean, this is a cruel joke. We're looking at two young guys here. That's, I don't care what anyone says. Oh, they're great wrestlers. They're fat. They look awful. And to everyone who said that Vader was fat, Vader was a bodybuilder. A power lifter. This guy could put up more weight. I would love to see that these guys actually balance a bar above their chest, like, and bench what Vader used to do. Ain't gonna happen. There's a big difference between fat and power lifter. And, go ahead and, you notice these guys don't post any gym videos or workout videos or anything like that. And with good reason, because they don't do it. So there would be nothing to post. It would just be them with just shoveling their hands into the Dorito bag. That's basically the workout that they get besides what they do in the ring. So, putting them together, and also, Samoa Joe, the guy, he'll change his hair and braid it all up all nice and tight, but he won't change the same stinky trunks that he's been wearing for the past 2 decades. I mean, he's going to be wearing those shorts for close to 20 years. It's time to change them. Honestly, since 2002, this guy has been wearing the same outfit. You think maybe it's time for a change? Maybe. I think so. I think it would be safe to say. So anyway, Owens goes for a stunner. He ends up getting rolled up from behind by Buddy Murphy. And there you go. The tag champs retain. This is just sad to see. It really is. I mean, these guys, they're going nowhere. You've got Kevin Owens, another former world champion, and Seth Rollins, and they're in tag team matches. In the middle of the show, in a forgettable match with a goofy promo to start things off. Awful. Awful on every single, possible level, and in every sense of the word. Backstage, Becky Lynch is cutting a promo. Cringy Lynch is backstage. And she has a title match right before the men's rumble match. And she's supposed to be leading the way. She's responsible for NXT breaking the chains of femininity and doing away with the awful term women. And, what happens? She doesn't get a match. She doesn't even get a meaningful segment, just a random throwaway backstage thing where she goes, "Oh, baby Charlotte wants to pick me." Well, I don't know, but I don't get it. You're trying to tell us for how many years now that this girl is important. She's, they're building the division around her, and now she's just good enough for a few moments backstage. Anyway, well, Humberto Carrillo defeated Andrade by disqualification. I like Andrade, but this some Humberto guy, I'm sorry, he's a good athlete. This guy does some nice, crisp looking moves. Hey Meltzer, they look crisp. The moves are crisp. Yeah, crisp looking moves, whatever that means. And I would be impressed by this guy if he showed up during the 90s or the early 2000s. But now everyone and their mama does these moves. So, okay, they look a little bit better than the other guys. No botches or anything like that. But still, I'm sick and tired of seeing this luchador style because everyone does it. I mean, honestly, you've got Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe all doing frog splashes, suicida dives, and everything like that. Why? And then when it comes for the lucha guys to do it on the show, honestly, can these guys stay grounded in the previous match? If you're gonna have high flying in the next match, why are you having high flying in the previous match with guys that don't need to fly? Hey, fat men are flying. I mean, do we really need to see that? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, have a little bit of courtesy. They don't do that anymore. Back in the day, it used to be you didn't take another guy's move on the card, or you had to ask first. And people might be like, oh, that's old school wrestling, where they were all, all selfish and stuff like that. Well, you know what? I think it's about time we get back to that mentality again. Because look how ridiculous this show looks. Everyone's flying every which way. Nothing feels special anymore. It's just moves anymore. Not special moments anymore. It's just moves. A collection of moves. And nothing feels special or important or significant anymore. Because everyone's got to do their moves. They got to do 50 different moves in every match. God forbid they leave something out. So then you have other guys on the card that want to feel special because this is what they specialize sexualizing like these two luchadors here, and they can't even look special in the card because you got other fat, obese goofs doing it in the other matches. Like at least Humberto Carrillo, the guy looks like he works out. At least he tries. I could say, not like these two fat slobs in the previous. And if that annoys you, that's just facts right there. I mean, these are athletes. Can you imagine an NBA player or an NFL player like coming out just big fatso, looking like a blob, like come on, ridiculous. Anyway, Andrade unfortunately violated the wellness policy, so he's going to end up being suspended for 30 days. So I would not be surprised if they punish him by forcing him to vacate the title. Because the thing is, if you don't defend the title in 30 days, I don't even know if they do that stuff anymore. You have to defend the title within 30 days. They broke that rule so many times over the years with guys that were still actively on the roster and that didn't get suspended, that I don't know if they really care anymore about that. But they had Humberto drill him with the DDT on the mat. He took his hammerlock DDT, so they might just say that he got concussed or he got injured and he can't go on, have him relinquish the title. I don't know. Does anyone really care? I really do like Andrade. I like this guy's look. I think he's got a lot going for him. The presentation with Zelina Vega and everything. If they're going to flaunt, if Charlotte and Andrade are going to flaunt all their stuff on social media, I said it before, why is Zelina even there? Why is Zelina not the goth chick with Alistair, Black? I don't get it. Why don't we at least have them work together? If you're going to trot that stuff out on social media, hey guys, we're together, come on. It looks ridiculous to have Zelina Vega posing with Andrade on social media and also with her real life husband. What? You're trying to have the best of both worlds and it just looks silly. Anyway, Charlotte comes out. She says she hasn't decided on who she's going to pick. She's going to face a champion. Maybe she'll face the Fiend, right? Because now we're removing the gender out of it, right? There's probably not going to be any women's division before the time we get through with 2020. So that might be a viable option. But besides that, I kind of just think here it's kind of obvious. They don't know what to do with her. Obviously, Charlotte versus Bayley would be a boring match that no one wants to see. And we've only seen Charlotte versus Cringy Lynch 1,000 times. So I don't know if they're going to switch the champions up or do something different. But my God, I mean, I'm a Charlotte fan. I've said that over the years. And, JD's over there crying his eyes out. They ruined it. I don't know. You guys really wanted Shayna Baszler to win it, even though she hasn't spent a day on the regular roster besides Survivor Series. I don't think that would really make a lot of sense. And I'm sorry, Shayna Baszler, I don't even know how to feel about her. Okay, she's former MMA, but I don't know. Charlotte was a way better pick. Charlotte's got the charisma. She looks the part more. I'm sorry, I'm a Charlotte fan. I don't care what anyone says. Charlotte this and Charlotte that. No valid reasons why they don't like her. This girl physically looks amazing. She looks like a star. She looks like a main eventer. She might be a part of one of the worst eras in WWE history, but I mean, this is one of the best stars that they've had. I mean, Charlotte, she doesn't make me cringe like Cringy Lynch does or any of the other goofballs like Bayley. I see Charlotte, I hear her cut a promo, and I'm convinced. I'm like, I like Charlotte. You could definitely tell that a lot of that great Flair genes have rubbed off on her. Do I really need to say this many years into her career? She deserved it. If you could chant, she deserved it, but you won't because you're busy listening to all these other goofballs on the internet like JD saying, oh, it's horrible, they should have given it to Shayna Baszler, or one of the other generic girls in there in the Rumble. So Asuka comes out. Charlotte looks like she's about to beat Asuka. Kari Singh flies off the top rope. Crashes into her with an elbow. It's a disqualification. Like, okay, okay, they protected Asuka. They finally remembered to protect somebody, because they didn't want to have Asuka lose 2 nights in a row, I suppose. But like, like at this point, protecting people, like, okay, I would probably, hold it against them when they don't protect their talent. But now I just kind of expect them not to do it. So when they do it, I'm just like scratching my head. Anyway, like, okay, so it ended like that. I don't know, like, do you think maybe once again your Rumble winner, she just won the Rumble, do you maybe want to do something special with her? Have her go out there and maybe say something notable? Give her some material to work with? It's just like, I'm still thinking about it. Well, wow, let me just keep watching this amazing, enthralling show. I mean, she's still thinking about it. I mean, oh, wow, I'm definitely going to tune in next. Like, are you kidding me? That's the best you could come up with? This is lazy. You set the table so nicely to have a great Raw tonight, and you did everything in your power, like, to make sure that didn't happen. You like, where was the creativity here? You had the deserving Royal Rumble winners. Okay, everyone complained about Charlotte. Okay, fine. But Drew, you messed that up. Charlotte, here's a chance. People are complaining about Charlotte. Give them a reason to care. Nope. Nothing. Probably the laziest tease promo. Oh, I haven't decided yet. How much does that scream? We don't know what to do with her. I mean, if you wanted an illustration of just how bad, the whole creative process works in WWE, that was case in point if I ever did see it. Up next was Mojo Rawley, the new 24/7 champion, and he has Riddick Moss with him. I don't know. The guy looked good. He had a good physique, but, like, I don't know, is he another football player? Mojo doesn't even really bother to tell us. He has a little quick match with No Way Jose. Like, okay, I like Mojo. But, like, if you're trying to get us to care about Mojo, like, here, once again, why can't they think of anything better? Like, is there a story maybe? No, you guys don't want to do it. Like, what is it with them where they're, like, allergic to telling stories? Giving Mojo the floor maybe that, kind of give us something a little bit more than a football analogy. Hey, guys, you remember I used to be a football star? Like, come on. And No Way Jose coming out there, a squash match. Like, how many of those have we already had? And we're not done with them, believe it or not, on this show. As hard as that is to believe. So R-Truth comes out. He was part of the conga line. He's dressed up as a hamburger. He rolls up Mojo from behind. I'm getting so sick of these, like, schoolboy things at the 24/7 time. This is just, this is such a cheap, watered down, Z grade level of the title. And I know a lot of people are hating on R-Truth, but I like R-Truth, and R-Truth is trying. He's been given a role this many years of being a goofball. He has so much more potential. You look at the way how this guy looks at his age. He's like 48 years old, and the guy has one of the best physiques. Way better than Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. That's for damn sure. And this is how they treat the guy. Anyway, so, like, Mojo gets the title back. Riddick Moss distracts R-Truth. He doesn't even do anything, so we're not even given a reason. Why does Mojo even need backup? Like, a guy the size of Mojo, like, what is he, 6'6"? Like, this would be like if Kevin Nash needed backup, when he was Diesel. No, if anything, he should be the backup of a smaller guy. Bigger guys don't need other bigger guys watching their back, Okay, it's not the NWO. It's not a faction, It's just I don't get it. We've got Liv Morgan defeating Lana. Not really a whole lot to say here. I don't know Rusev and Lashley are supposedly still injured, an off-screen injury. I don't even know if it's a real injury. This was okay. I mean, I think they did a decent job. I don't really think they know where to go after the wedding angle. They don't really know what to do with Liv. And it didn't really seem like they're former lovers based on this, because Liv kind of just beat her and that was it. They just left the ring after that. So once again, great storytelling, guys. You know, 1 in a million. Rowan defeated another jobber. So this makes like how many jobber matches for the night? Alistair Black is in a jobber match. Rowan is in a jobber match. Mojo was in a jobber match. Drew McIntyre was in a jobber match. I mean, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the night after the Royal Rumble, and it's full of squash matches. You know, I mean, squash after squash after squash after squash. I mean, come on. How many times are we going to make someone look strong? How about developing their, I don't know, character maybe? There's none of that, you know. Maybe, like, how about a nice riveting promo of some sorts? No. Anyway, they didn't even talk about what was inside Rowan's cage. I don't even think they know what's in it. What could even really be in his cage that would be interesting? You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've been doing this for weeks and weeks, and you clearly see it's the same idea with Charlotte picking her WrestleMania opponent. They don't know. They really have no idea. It's not suspense. It's the fact that, because don't you see these things going for months and months? And some people will chalk it up to, oh, people just don't appreciate good storytelling. They want it right now. No, there's a difference between wanting it right now and not having an idea what you want to do. You know, like, they have all these flashes of brilliance, like the Lana Liv Morgan thing. Like, okay, that could be interesting. Nope, we're not going to do it. Mandy and, you know, and Sonya Deville, right? They also had another angle right there, right? They were going to do the lesbian thing, and they do a total cop-out. It's just a bunch of cop-outs. They've got nothing. They've got nothing. They've got ideas that start off with a little something, you know, but they don't have anything. They don't have it storyboarded. There's no long-term plan. It's like, here's an idea. Okay, well, great. There's an idea. But they will never see it through to the end, because that's it. It's like, basically they know how to write the opening chapter to a book and set it up real nice, but there's no body, and we're lucky if we ever get any type of conclusion at all. Mostly it just kind of dies out somewhere before it even begins. Then we get Edge coming out there, and Edge is back, and it seems like Edge is going to be back full time. He said, you know, he talked about Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe. Oh my God. Like, Edge. Name some other guys. Alistair Black. Well, Alistair Black needs opponents. There's no one for him. You know, like, oh God, you know, one thing is for sure, when Edge comes out there, you see what's been missing from wrestling for so long. A true A-list stars. And okay, Edge is not a Rock. He's not a Stone Cold. He's not an Undertaker. You know what I mean? He's kind of like second tier. He always has been. But did you hear the reaction? And people have been saying it on my Facebook all along. And, you know, I have to echo those sentiments. It's what I've been saying for so long. It's not all about matches. It's never been all about matches. Maybe it has been with other wrestling companies, but WWE has always been about moments. We always remember big moments, things that happen. You know, no one remembers the rest of Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. They remember the body slam, right? Everyone remembers those big moments where time stands still, right? So with Stone Cold, most people don't even talk about the matches that Stone Cold's been in. They talk about the beer truck. They talk about the Zamboni. They talk about those big moments. Those moments that everyone sat back and they had a chuckle. They laughed with their friends. They cheered it on. They loved it. It was over the top, but it was always over the top where it was still cool and everything. Like, those are the things that are missing. But an Edge return after a 9-year absence, a guy that actually, knows what he's doing in the ring and doesn't have to do 1,000 spots. He did little high-flying things every now and again. He popularized the TLC matches. We probably wouldn't have high-flying goofballs like the Young Bucks if it wasn't for Edge and Christian. But this is like, the Edge is basically, what I think a lot of indie workers wanted to be like. They wanted to be like the Hardy Boys. They wanted to be like Edge and Christian, and they just didn't know how to emulate it properly. So at least we've got the original, guy back, and he looks great. He looks a little aged in the face, as I said. I think during my Rumble review he has, but the guy is in really good shape. You saw him at the Rumble. And like he said, he's 46 years old, and he looks better than Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. And he looks better than a lot of other guys on the roster, to be quite honest. So I'm just saying, it really shows. And you felt that aura around Edge. You saw Edge, you look at him, and you know what I'm saying? Despite him being aged, he still looks like someone that looks like a star. He looks important. So, we've got a big star back. And Orton comes out, he says, how about reforming Rated RKO? He gives him the RKO, sets him up for the concerto. It was a nice moment there, a nice throwback, and, good luck getting an explanation of why exactly he did this. Maybe he'll say because of him eliminating him during the Rumble, but that kind of would be a silly reason. But whatever the case may be, the explanation is going to be horrible. It always is. They can never explain properly why one wrestler does something to another. Always, when there's like a heel turn, they always have to be like, oh, I don't know. It's because I'm sick of you people and all that. That's, I don't think we're going to get that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I get it. We're going back. We're doing a rated RKO match. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I can't help but sit back and think to myself, the only time that we get anything good in WWE is when we go back to the past. Isn't it sad that we can't do anything good with the current guys because they're not over? Orton and Edge are over. They've been over for, over a decade now. Going on 2 decades almost. They've been over. So they don't really need to try that hard with these guys. They get heat naturally. They get cheered naturally depending on their actions. So they don't really need to put a lot of effort into it. This was a good segment, how it was done. I was surprised they went for a headshot with the concerto. I'm sure it was a protected spot and everything like that, but I'm surprised they even showed that. But regardless, I'm just saying, even though I'm looking forward to it, I'm sorry, I still have to view this through a critical eye. Because it's what does the future hold? After Edge, even if he manages to get through WWE and God forbid, if he gets injured again or something like that, I'm hoping that he doesn't. I'm really praying that he knows what he's doing and that triple spinal fusion holds together, because of the way they do the style now. A guy like Orton, he doesn't need to worry about, because Orton knows exactly what he's doing in the ring. So that's a good opponent to work with Edge, especially when you're coming back from an injury like Edge did. But, think about it. When the Edges go, when the Ortons go, and the Cenas are already gone, Batista's retired, who's going to be left? Honestly, I was thinking to myself, there really wasn't a lot of surprises in the Rumble. But who's really left? Are we really going to count on Goldberg? Are we really going to count on The Undertaker? I mean, these guys, they're aged. And, Edge has still got a few good years in him. He's in good shape. He's not in his 50s, not in his 60s, right? So he can still keep going. Okay, but when that time passes And this is just like, we're talking about one guy, you know, or two guys, if, you know, if we're talking about Orton as well. You know, this is the only thing left of the ruthless aggression era. You know, the Attitude Era guys are really getting on in age, so it's like they can't even count on them anymore, really, to, you know, deliver matches and programs like they used to. So, you know, they relied so long, and they didn't build the stars. They didn't keep those guys. They didn't even keep the guys from the Ruthless Aggression era that had so much potential, like Chris Masters or Carlito or, you know, MVP, for example, Shelton Benjamin. You know, look how they treated those guys over the years, right? You know, and now, you know, we want to see them come back. You know, you saw John Morrison even in there. You know, there's nothing. They haven't properly built these guys up. You know, to where they don't really need to turn to the past. Now it's like they need these guys because, let's face it, we saw what happened at WrestleMania last year when they counted on their new guys. Nothing was over. It was horrible. It was crappy. There was no Undertaker on the show. You really felt when Undertaker wasn't there because it really was a forgettable WrestleMania. They had nothing, no surprises. It was as lame as it could possibly get. And it really showed. So, anyway, guys. There was your Raw. Good end segment. Really bad everything else. I would expect no less, no more, really. It's kind of what I expected. You know, whenever they have a good show, they can never follow it up. They never could seal the deal. Forget about sealing the deal. They can't even just follow it up. Have two good shows in a row. Is that hard to ask for? Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, I'll see you next time.